celebrating 15 years of Young Turks.
Welcome back to Young Turks, the Budget 2017 review. We are going to take wrap-up comments from all our guests in this segment, find out from them. So we are only in February, beginning of the year, trying to find out what they would like to see happen in the rest of the year from a policy standpoint to kind of really put the weight behind the Startup India action plan, which is also completed a year in January. So let me begin with you, Sharad. What would you like to see done? What are some of the key announcements that you will look forward to?
There are the easiest way to think of this is there are two triangles that are coming together. So the first triangle is to do with startups. And the first leg of the triangle, which we don't talk anymore because it's actually working well, is the fund of funds, the 10,000 crore fund of funds, of which 2,000 crores has been mostly deployed as the India Aspiration Fund. So you are going to see, starting April, May of this year, all that money starting to feed into the ecosystem. That rupee capital can only go to an Indian company, and therefore it's very, very important that we take our best startups who are no longer re-domiciled in India, they're re-domiciled in Singapore or US, we create a stay in India kind of a model so that they stay here. So that's the second leg of this triangle. And the third leg, which is already in place, SEBI has done phenomenal work in this, and during the year you will see this come to life, is List in India. We have one of the most progressive policies available for Indian startups to now list in India. The second triangle that you see coming up is to do with digital economy. And this digital economy, not for India 1 but for India 2. And what are the three parts of this? The first part at the bottom is JAM, that we know, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile. And that's very important. The second part that is coming together is payments. And the third one that will fall in place this year is lending. Our iSpirit's view is that in the next 2 years, this alternate lending, digital lending, flow-based lending that will flow through the system is going to be 80,000 crores. And I think this year will be a good year for both of these triangles to start showing their value as we go forward.
Talk us through your experience of fund of funds, what you want to see happen with it, given that Bloom is also one of the venture funds that largely raises almost all of its corpus domestically from domestic investors and institutions.
What we see, global models, success models, whether it is countries like China, US, Israel, all of these have been successful and have done incredibly well in having a system which is domestic. Then that's a holistic system. The whole idea and intent is to have clarity and parity. When I say clarity, I'm saying come up with a nodal agency that will take care of all the constituents of the startup ecosystem, be it the funds, be it the investors beyond the funds, the startup participants, all of them. Government has Make in India, they should be managed in India, where government should make sure that funds and bodies are going to manage their corpuses sitting out of India and not through overseas funding vehicles or sitting outside. You're going to be much more efficient being here because action is in our country. When I say parity, what I'm looking at parity with other asset classes. You want this to be compare and do well vis-a-vis the listed companies.
Correct.
Again, it's not about incentives, it's about parity. You put this at the same grasp as you have the listed companies, and you will definitely see some interest from the individuals and family offices here as well. So we will need to be patient with it and yet act very quickly to make those changes to see the benefits.
Be patient but act quickly. To the two entrepreneurs on the panel, we'll start with you, Vineet. What would you like to see happen from a general ecosystem point of view?
Look, entrepreneurs and startups usually are good enough to solve most of their problems themselves. So be it product, technology, ramp up, scale up, adoption, raising funds, most of the problems. The two areas where they struggle are infrastructure and regulation. So if the government walks its talk on infrastructure, building the digital infrastructure that it has talked about, set aside almost 10,000 crores for that, I think that will be great. That will take India, I think, leapfrog maybe at least a decade, if not 2 decades, as far as adoption of digital technologies, not only for payments but for digital lending and a slew of other services also.
To you, Veer, last word on the show.
Best part will be when the startup ecosystem, and I think when the government actually creates kind of a solver community, right, or a solver department where the startups can reach out to easily.
So it's interesting that everyone on the panel wanted to be in communication with the government, and I think in all fairness the government has a year out for them as well. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Young Turks. Tell us what you thought of the show. Write to us on Facebook or on Twitter. Till next time, thank you very much for watching.
Celebrating 15 years of Young Turks.